Hi there! Let's talk about the negatives of owning a CoverStitch machine. Why? It's because I want to spread awareness on what it's like to own a CoverStitch machine. Here are just some of my garment projects. I do a lot of my sewing away from the camera. Many of my sewing projects are mostly experiments, and this video is my combined opinion of 7 different CoverStitch machines. 3 of which I do not own. Remember, these are my own user review, and there is a possibility that your experience may be different. Number of needles and threads. When it comes to CoverStitch machines, the less number of needles and threads, the better. The less moving parts, the less things that can go wrong. Drop stitches are very common in these machines, and that is because of the lower looper timing. And this machine can be a real pain because there's very little awareness out there that the type of weave on the fabric that you are using is the X factor. Keep it simple on yourself and your machine. And you may ask, what about stitching thick or thin fabric? Shouldn't you have to vary the stitches? I think there's a little bit of a hoopla there. I tried many assorted knits. Adjust your width setting if you have that. I wouldn't worry about not having 4 needles for more coverage. How I know this is because I mostly use a 3-thread setup on my CoverStitch machines, and they hold up fine even after repeated washing. Sewing attachments. When I use a CoverStitch machine, chances are I am on my 3rd machine. Sew, serge, and CoverStitch. I have a blind hem foot that came with my machine that I never use. The accessories are expensive and an extra hassle to me. Even though I like to sew, I also get burned out. At the last leg of my projects, I'm ready to be done. My sewing energy is low. I'm not in the mood to install or uninstall an attachment for a small area of my garment. They are useful for batches or assembly line projects, but my projects are one at a time. I do not like doing the extra 20 steps just to make something work. I do not wish to buy a binding attachment either. Although important, I know it will slow me down also. And you would think that owning a CoverStitch machines would make all your hemming problems go away? Not really. How about binding a neckline? I learned how to work around not having the binding attachment accessory by either cover hemming them at the fold and go or using a bias neckline. Don't be confused. Just because you bought a CoverStitch machine does not mean that your or hemming projects will magically make life better. Speed control. Here are 4 different pedals of my CoverStitch machines, and this is something I would never have realized had I not compared one from the other. The crappiest in this group is the Singer Pro 5. Although the machine has enough torque, sewing over a hump on a thick fabric is awful. The pedal is not up to the power of the machine, resulting in bug stitches. Much like driving a car, the sensitivity of the foot pedal is important for speed control. How I know this is when I switch back and forth between my pop CoverStitch machine and the other machines that I have. The user should be able to control the pace while sewing. You probably will not understand this unless you have experience switching back and forth between different pedals. I think this is one of the most unspoken problem with CoverStitch machine, including the brand Brother Pacesetter 2340CB. This machine is so popular out there, and I almost bought it. After testing it, the motor sounds very good and it can pierce the fabric, no problem. But my issue with it has a crappy foot pedal. How I know this is it's really similar to my Singer Pro 5 machine. This problem limits the fabric that I can use. Yes, the machine will choose the fabric for me, not me, the owner. Am I making sense here? Mostly thin and easy to pierce knits are my options. By the way, the Singer Pro 5 is a combo machine and the serger function of it is pretty good. Creativity. In CoverStitch machines, it's pretty much a fold and stitch process. It's a great machine for knit fabrics. So if you're looking for a lot of creativity, this machine will not do it for you. Yes, you can imagine the designs using a regular sewing machine and a serger, but the CoverStitch, it's pretty much a fold and go action. Remember, it is a finishing machine, not a construction machine. Expensive multi-needle machines for decorative effect. Listen, if you are looking for a decorative look, get an embroidery machine. Please don't buy a multi-needle CoverStitch only to realize it's practically useless. Why do you need a decorative stitch? Who's gonna see it? A chain stitch to me is fancy, but I have no real application for it. I see it all the time when I'm feeding our chicken. I'm not making chicken bags. I've seen table napkins accented using a CoverStitch machine. Let's be real here. It's called the embroidery machine. Combo machines, are they worth it? Or should you separate your serger and CoverStitch? Hands down, separate your serger from your CoverStitch for your peace of mind and convenience. The more jobs a machine is tasked to do, the less it can do it effectively. The mechanisms inside is more complex and it will take longer to learn also. It can slow you down because you have to switch back and forth between settings. The one really good thing about it is it makes a good space saver. Computers and air threaders. There are intuitive computerized machines out there that guide you on how to use the machine. Some people like to be assisted with a computer program. I don't own an air threader because I really like solving serger problems manually. With the many varieties of fabrics I use, I think that the input-output program of these machines can also be done because I have one of these machines. Price. Why are CoverStitch machines so expensive? Supply and demand. Not too many people own them. Remember, you have to learn the sewing machine, the serger, before you purchase a CoverStitch machine. The sewers that own them hang on to them, therefore less inventory in the second-hand market. What she thought would be a good fit to this group of machine is a Bernina combo CoverStitch machine. Turns out that the machine is terrible. No bueno. I had to be the one to tell her what is wrong with it. A combo machine oftentimes have a height clearance issue. You know that distance between the presser foot and the feed dog? Because the machine doubles as a serger, the calibration of an overlock is merged with a cover lock setting. Sewing over a hump is always a drum roll. Is it gonna work or not? An alteration shop gets too many varieties of fabric. This goes to show you that there's very little awareness out there that a bad CoverStitch machine would actually choose the fabric for you. I find myself not using them for a couple of months, if not more. You will be surprised there's a lot of fabrics that you cannot use this machine for two reasons: work efficiency and washability. I have yet to see a store-bought garment made in cotton, linen, flannel that is finished by a CoverStitch machine. Be mindful of using your CoverStitch and its viability after repeated washing. Bring your own swatch to the dealership if you need to. When I tested the Juki MC1500 when I went to the dealership, I'm very impressed with the power and speed of this machine. I sampled a thick and slinky fabric and I didn't have to adjust many of the settings. Much like owning a really good sewing machine, a really good CoverStitch machine does not complain too much. It just works. Now, an exclusive information for you. I made a house dress made of a terry cloth fabric, and it seemed fine until it started showing on the edges 8 months later. Wow, how did I not know this? This goes to prove that using a cover stitch machine, you have to choose your fabric correctly. The fold and go process does not apply to many fabrics. Well, then what about double folding? A cotton, silk, linen, or flannel? Then use a cover stitch. It's called a sewing machine. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm not a natural speaker, as you can tell, but my hope is you learn a thing or two about the reality and practicality of owning a cover stitch machine. Thanks for watching.